Hi there. My name is Robin Norgren, and I am a creativity chaplain here in Arizona. And I have taught creativity to both children and adults for over 10 years. I'd like to welcome you to my new series called You Can Write Poetry. And it really is as simple as breaking it down into about 6 easy templates so that you can try different forms of writing poetry, find the style and the feel that you really resonate with, and then take yourself on that journey of exploration with the love of words, with the ability to create, and also the desire to express yourself in a way that is, I don't know, there's no other word for it really than just beautiful. To take a small amount of words and to bring them together with the most succinct and impactful emotion or communication. There's just something about it for me that I think just allows you to really feel heard, really helps you connect with your spirit, and really helps you feel grounded in the way that you walk through life. So I hope you'll join me on this journey to learn how to write poetry. And if you've already done it in the past, maybe to find a way to come at it in a way that is lighthearted and playful and allows you to be inspired by this creative outlet. Hope to see you in the classroom. Hi there. I want to talk to you a little bit about the cento poem. A cento poem is basically a collection of lines, phrases, and just a string of words that you collect from either your own poetry or from poets that maybe you have come across over the years and have admired. So for example, I had an anthology of poems that was curated by Billy Collins. And then I also had a book called Love Poems from God. I actually have a pretty good collection of books, of poetry books that are collaborations of several different poets. But you can also go online, and I'll add some links to the PDFs in the classroom of places where you can go, where you can simply just cut and paste from those websites and start to put poems together like a jigsaw puzzle. And you'll be amazed at what you find. So I have added to the classroom a few of my examples of how to do that, but I also invite you to do it as well and just really have fun with this process. It is an easy way to start to stair-step yourself into this idea of creating a complete poem on your own by watching the rhythm in which words are strung together by the poets that you have grown to know and love. All right, make sure and let me know if you have any questions in the classroom, and I'm excited to see what it is you come up with. Hi there. Today I would like to introduce you to a type of poetry called an erasure poem. And it pretty much is how what you're hearing in your ears as I say it is basically taking an eraser, or as another name you might have heard this as, is a blackout poem. And you're basically crossing out or subtracting and going for economy and efficiency. So it's pretty wild how this works, because you don't have to necessarily use a poem. You actually can take a grocery list. You can take just a article from a newspaper. You can take something from a manual from your employment. And what you do is you really just hone in on certain words and phrases. Now, it might feel a little awkward at first. I know I felt a little awkward doing this type of exercise. But what you'll find is suddenly you'll start to see a rhythm, and your eyes will start to go to certain words. Have you ever seen those puzzles where they say, go ahead and pick the first 4 words, and those are your words for the year, and how crazy cool it is to find out that everybody is picking different words. Well, it's kind of that way when you do this type of poetry. So your assignment is to go ahead and find just random pages from a book, or as I said, articles that you've maybe read recently, or even if you really want to challenge yourself, take something out of an employee manual and start to pick and choose which words really come together for you, and just be delighted and surprised what comes together. And make sure, as always, if you'd like to share it in the classroom or send it to me via email. Looking forward to see what you create. Hello and welcome back. So we have tried our hand at the cento poems and the erasure poems or the blackout poems. Next, I'd like you to try list poems. Now, what I love about a list is because, listen, I make lists for everything. And so when I started to do the research on this type of list, of using lists as a way to create and jumpstart your poetry, I just thought, oh my gosh, how amazing is this? And what I found is, as I started to practice poetry writing in the way of lists, what I found is, you can really take this in lots of different directions. We have our pros and cons lists, we have our grocery lists, we have our to-do lists, but all of these have sort of a rhythm, and you'll start to notice that as you create your own list poetry. So go ahead and start looking through the list you might have even made today. That might be a good way to jumpstart it. But I've also put some resources in the classroom for you to take a look at to give you some ideas of how to kind of go outside of the box with this idea of creating lists and turning them into poems. So I hope you enjoy this. This will be our third poetry examination and how to create it. And I hope at this point you have at least 3 poems created. So can't wait to hear. Let me know in the classroom if you have any questions. Hello there and welcome back. We are focusing today with our poetry prompt on the theme of repetition. And repetition being a little more nuanced than simply having the rhyming pattern that many might be used to when you hear of repetition in maybe in your in childhood when you thought of poetry. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to read a famous poem. It's really a beautiful poem written by the poet Jane Kenyon, and it's called Otherwise. And listen and see if you can catch what we mean in this more nuanced form of repetition. I got out of bed on 2 strong legs. It might have been otherwise. I ate cereal, sweet milk, ripe, flawless peach. It might have been otherwise. I took the dog uphill to the birchwood. All morning I did the work I love. At noon I lay down with my mate. It might have been otherwise. We ate dinner together at a table with silver candlesticks. It might have been otherwise. I slept in a bed in a room with paintings on the walls and planned another day, just like this day. But one day, I know, it will be otherwise. So in that beautiful rhythm, we see that there is a phrase that continues to flow throughout, but it takes on different nuances in each stanza. Let's go ahead and get started on the repetition poem. Hello and welcome back. Today's poem is called the I Remember poem, and I, hands down, really love doing these kinds of poems. It just allows for a lot of self-reflection, and especially if you're in a self-reflective mode, as far as like trying to find happy memories or sad memories, or just trying to process something maybe around an event or an emotion that you're having, or even just trying to get at what's going on inside of you, in a particular point in time. It's just a beautiful way to take that time to write, just as it says, I remember. And so basically what you're doing is you're taking a piece of paper, and at the beginning of every phrase or sentence, you start with, I remember. This was made famous by an artist and writer by the name of Jem Brainerd, and I actually put in the notes a link to an interview about who he is and what inspired him to create this type of poetry. And also there's a beautiful book inspired by these I Remember poems. So I also put that link in the classroom as well. So enjoy this lesson. I can't wait to see what you create. Feel free again to post it in the classroom and we can take a look at it there together, or just send it to me by way of email. All right, enjoy. Hello there and welcome back. So today's assignment has to do with writing with second grade language. So you can use this prompt any way that you'd like. But what I thought would be fun is I have put in the classroom some samples of poetry written by second graders. But I also wanted to read to you a couple of poems that are geared towards second grade. So I just, again, can't wait to see where you can take this, because you can really kind of upgrade in a lot of different ways, or you can tap into your second grade self, right? So here's one of them. It's called See the Bug. See the bug on the rug. I will give his leg a tug. See him run, see him go. He did not like it, no, no. See him hop on the mop. See him hide to make me stop. I will stop. I will not tug. You are safe, little bug. Here's another one. The Fat Cat. I had a cat who was so fat, he could not even sit on his mat. He had a hat that did not fit. He put it on and then it split. So, like I said, it's really going back to those younger days of when rhyming was really mostly what you were looking at when you were trying to see if something was called a poem. And so I thought that'd be kind of a nice throwback to maybe some of the experiences that you've had. So have a good time with it. Again, I have put also in the classroom some of the vocabulary words that you would learn in second grade. So you'd be surprised you actually can do some really interesting things with the vocabulary that is part of the second grade vernacular. All right, enjoy. Hi there. So today's theme is poetry inspired by photographs. I love collecting old photographs. I don't know if you've ever been to like thrift stores or even like church pawn shops and things like that, where there usually is a selection of just old photographs that you can look at and just find interesting stories just by looking and imagining what might be going on in the photographs. And so I have a collection of these that I take out from time to time, and I use them if I want to write essays or one-act plays, or I decided to do it with poems. So I'm inviting you to do the same. So you can do this a number of different ways. You can go through your old photographs. You could use this as an artist date and go to a thrift shop and see if they have just old photographs or old albums sitting somewhere that have a collection of photographs in it. You can check online. Actually, if you go onto eBay or onto Etsy, you will find that people sell old photographs that they have found. So however you want to be inspired to do this, I will give you, just kind of free reign to do it. But really, the most important thing is to take that photograph and allow it to inform the story. But rather than writing a story, though you might be inspired to do that as well, because this is all about inspiration here, but challenge yourself to create phrases and words to pull together to create some sort of poem that comes out of the story you see in the picture. All right, I can't wait to see what you come up with. All right, welcome back. Here is our final prompt. And I hope that you have really been enjoying all of the prompts for writing poetry. Have you tried them all? Have you found any favorites? This one is called Writing a Poem to Your Future Self, and it's pretty much in line with what you might have done when you were younger, or maybe you might have done it in a workshop of some sort for self-development where you write a letter to your future self. Well, using the different tools and techniques that we have practiced together, I thought it would be fun to write a poem to your future self. So here is one that I found that might kind of spark some inspiration. It says, "Dear future self, it's weird to think that you are me, I am you, living in some other house, hopefully in some other city, or maybe in some other country. It's weird to think that you live a different life compared to mine, and I hope you're happy. It's weird to think how you are dreaming and wishing like me, but probably for different things. It's weird how you're all grown up while I'm just me, here, sitting, doing the same old routine. Or maybe it's not weird at all." All right. So there's just one example. Here is another one, kind of short and sweet. "I have more guts to write you, my future self, about my emotions than to feel them right now." So go ahead and take some time with this prompt. And like I said, if you wanted to even think of doing it as a bullet points, maybe even incorporating that list idea that we did in a previous lesson, but really allow yourself to just play with this and see what you come up with. Hi there. I wanted to share some poems with you from a mystic named Rabia, just to give you another example of the ways in which poetry can flow. So I'm going to share a few of her poems. The first one is called Jealous of a Pond. When God said, "My hands are yours," I saw that I could heal any creature in this world. I saw that the divine beauty in each heart is the root of all time and space. I was once a sleeping ocean, and in a dream became jealous of a pond. A penny can be eyed in the street, and a war can break out over it amongst the poor. Until we know that God lives in us and we can see him there, a great poverty we suffer. The next one is called I Hope God Thinks Like That. There is a dog I sometimes take for a walk and turn loose in a field. When I can't give her that freedom, I feel in debt. I hope God thinks that like that and is keeping track of all the bliss he owes me. It acts like love. It acts like love. Music. It reaches towards the face, touches it, and tries to let you know his promise that all will be okay. It acts like love. Music, and tells the feet, you do not have to be so burdened. My body is covered with wounds this world made, but I still long to kiss him, even when God said, "Could you also kiss the hand that made each scar? For you will not find me until you do." Here are some poems by the mystic named St. Thomas Aquinas. What does light talk about? When you recognize her beauty, the eye applauds, the heart stands in an ovation, and the tongue, when she is near, is on its best behavior. It speaks more like light. What does light talk about? I asked a plant that once, and it said, I'm not sure, but it makes me grow. Whenever he looks at you, God sees nothing in us that he has not given. Everything is empty until he places what he wishes into it. The soul is like an uninhabited world that comes to life only when God lays his head against us. The delight a child can know tossing a ball into the air, my Lord confessed he experiences whenever he looks at you. He sees nothing in us that he is not given. The divine intimacy. The experience of something out of nothing. Is that not how one might describe magic? A hat held upside down may appear empty, though at God's command all life that any planet has ever known could dance around the hat's rim, holding hands. The root that needs no ground is he, and from that root all has come. Creation is God's litter, and all are nursed. Some grow more plump than others indeed. Eternally amazed is the soul before God, watching him expand. Witnessing God reveal himself to himself. That divine intimacy I know. The following are poems created by St. Francis of Assisi. No one knows his name. No one knows his name. A man who lives on the streets and walks around in rags. Once I saw that man in a dream. He and God were constructing an extraordinary temple. When I returned from Rome, a bird took flight and a flower in a field whistled at me as I passed. I drank from a stream of clear water, and at night the sky untied her hair and I fell asleep, clutching a tress of God's. When I returned from Rome, all said, "Tell us the great news." And with great excitement I did. A flower in a field whistled, and at night the sky untied her hair, and I fell asleep clutching a sacred tress. God could kneel down. I think God might be a little prejudiced, for once he asked me to join him on a walk through this world. And we gazed into every heart on this earth, and I noticed he lingered a bit longer before any face that was weeping, and for any eyes that were laughing. And sometimes we passed a soul in worship. God too would kneel down. I have come to learn God adores his creation. Like roots. Our hands imbibe like roots, so I place them on what is beautiful in this world. And I fold them in prayer, and they draw from the heavens light. Let me now introduce you to the poetry of St. Catherine of Siena. Consumed in grace. I first saw God when I was a child, 6 years of age. The cheeks of the sun were pale before him, and the sky acted as a shy girl like me. Divine light entered my heart from his love that did never fully wane. Though indeed, dear, I can understand how a person's faith can at times flicker. For what is the mind to do with something that becomes the mind's ruin? A God that consumes us in his grace. I have seen what you want. It is there, a beloved of infinite tenderness. Vulnerable. Vulnerable we are, like an infant. We need each other's care, or we will suffer. Live without thought of dying. We work so hard to fly, and no matter what heights we reach, our wings get folded near a candle at the end. For nothing can enter God but himself. Our souls are some glorious substance of the divine that no sentry wants to stop. Live without thought of dying, for dying is not a truth. We have swayed on the sky's limb together many years. There the same leaves grow. But then they get that look in their eyes and bid farewell to what they disdained or cherished. This life he gave the shell, the daily struggles we know. Sit quiet for a moment, dear. Feel the wind. Let light touch you. Live without thought of dying, for dying is not a truth. Allow me to introduce you to the poetry of a mystic named Hafiz. The sun never says, even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole world. Troubled? Troubled? Then stay with me, for I am not. Lonely? 1,000 naked amorous ones dwell in ancient caves beneath my eyelids. Riches? Here's a pick. My whole body is an emerald that begs, take me. Write all that worries you on a piece of parchment and offer it to God. Even from the distance of a millennium, I can lean the flame in my heart into your life and turn all that frightens you into holy incense ash. Our union. Our union is like this. You feel cold, so I reach for a blanket to cover our shivering feet. A hunger comes into your body, so I run to the garden and start digging potatoes. You ask me for a few words of comfort and guidance, and I quickly kneel by your side, offering you a whole book as a gift. You ache with loneliness one night so much you weep, and I say, here is a rope, tie it around me. I will be your companion for life. The Christ's breath. I am a hole in a flute. So welcome back, and here I will introduce to you the poetry of Meister Eckhart. But he wanted me. I could not bear to touch God with my own hand when he came within my reach. But he wanted me to hold him. How God solved my blessed agony, who can understand? He turned my body into his. I bet God. If he let go of my hand, I would weep so loudly. I would petition with all my might. I would cause so much trouble that I bet God would come to his senses and never do that again. Love does that. All day long, a little burro labors, sometimes with heavy loads on her back and sometimes just with worries about things that bother only burros. And worries, as we know, can be more exhausting than physical labor. Once in a while, a kind monk comes to her stable and brings a pear, but more than that. He looks into the burro's eyes and touches her ears, and for a few seconds the burro is free and even seems to laugh. Because love does that. Love frees. The hope of loving. What keeps us alive? What allows us to endure? I think it is the hope of loving or being loved. I heard a fable once about the sun going on a journey to find its source and how the moon wept without her lover's warm gaze. We weep when light does not reach our hearts. We wither like fields if someone close does not rain their kindness upon us. Hello there. Well, I thought I'd explain this section that I've added to this course called Words and Art Together, because in one of your handouts I've given you a couple of links to some templates for something you might want to do in the future. if you are on Instagram or any of those online social media sites, you might find that from time to time you'll see poets actually sharing their work online. And so this might be something you've been thinking about, or something that might be just something you would like to try as a next step. And so what I wanted to do is give you just some forerunners in this type of thing. A couple of my favorite artists, if you will, that have done magnificently in the area of being able to share the work that they do by way of the art that they create through photography and through drawing, but they also connect it as well with their words, their phrases, their poetry. So I hope that you enjoy these two artists that I have highlighted here. And again, I hope that you feel inspired to take it and let it inform your future path, whatever it may be, in the area of poetry. Hello. So what you noticed within the resources in this classroom was some excerpts from an author named Kim Rosen, who wrote a book called Saved by a Poem. This is actually one of the first books I bought when I was attempting to really understand the dynamics of writing poetry. And it didn't really get me into the process of writing poetry, but it really helped me understand why my soul kept longing to write poetry. And so I hope you've enjoyed those little excerpts. I'm not getting anything for promoting her book, but if you were really intrigued by it, I would say pick up a copy of this book. You will be inspired to continue on in your process of writing poetry, I promise you. I have also, for those who might be interested, put a resource in the classroom for those who would like to possibly try submitting their poems to poetry contests. So that is also available for you. And I will continue to add classes in to my repertoire with subject matters along the lines of poetry, but I also want to start adding creative writing in different mediums, and then also just creativity in general with using paint and other art supplies. So I really truly hope that you enjoyed this process, and I would love to hear in the comments below what your favorite styles of poetry that you picked up during the course of this class. Thanks so much, and please drop me a line and let me know how you're doing with your poetry journey. Thank you.